Joining us now is Harry Houck, CNN law enforcement analyst and former NYPD detective first grade. Hello, Harry.
How you doing, buddy? How's it going?
Good. Happy Thanksgiving. Good to see you.
You too, buddy.
All right. So weigh in on that because, we know how she treated the police in Philadelphia. We know the Fraternal Order of Police for the first time made an endorsement, and that was for Donald Trump. And we know that she paraded around with these, I don't know about every one of the mothers who their sons were, but Michael Brown's mother was there, Trayvon Martin's mother was there, others who had attacked cops and other people. So I just think that was a big part of this whole election.
Yeah, I mean, it looks to me that she was trying to pander to the criminal vote, I guess, because only criminals would be happy about her comments. With this election here that occurred, she had lost not only for that reason, but also rejection of Obama. And Obama, who was also anti-cop, starting with his beer summit and what occurred with his buddy Dean Gates being arrested. This is where all this started, and it just kept on going on, and she embraced the same rhetoric, anti-cop, hating rhetoric out there, and that's one of the reasons why she lost the election.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And also, I want to put up a picture right now. We lost another police officer. I think it's 56 now this year. Here we're looking at Detective Benjamin Marconi from San Antonio, who was shot twice in the head while writing out a traffic summons in his car, in his his patrol car. And then here's the guy, the thug, who, if he did it, deserves to be put to death with a death penalty. If they still have it in Texas, I'm sure they do. And there you see his name is Otis Tyrone McCain. He's 31 years old, shot him twice in the head. See, Harry, I think you might agree. I just think that there's the whole climate created by those like Hillary and Barack Obama and the attorney generals, both the current and Eric Holder as well. I just think they've created a climate that results in this kind of stuff.
There's no doubt about it. 8 years of anti-cop rhetoric coming from the left has created a lot of this. They definitely fed into this. And, Steve, when you saw that man being arrested yesterday, he was being interviewed why he did it. And he said that the reason why he did it is because he'd been trying, he had to lash out to somebody because he was trying to get his child's custody. All right? That is such a load. I do not believe that for 1 minute. This man went into the precinct, the police precinct there, looked around, came back 4 hours later, and then targeted another police officer. Now, the reason I think he went into that precinct at the time was maybe he was looking for a target at that time, didn't find one because apparently there were no police officers around, and then came back 4 hours later, all right, to assassinate Detective Marconi. That's insanity. I don't like his excuse. I think his excuse is definitely based on the fact that maybe he thinks he can get some kind of, sympathy from the left for the reason why he had done this, but it was a straight-out assassination and killing, and it was specifically targeted because that officer wore a uniform.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you have 4 police officers shot in 3 states in a 24-hour period, and just about all of them, while they were all ambushed. They were all sitting in their cars doing their job, and someone walks up to them, and it's got to be because they had the uniform on.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that this rhetoric, this anti-police rhetoric by the Black Lives Matter, by President Obama, his administration, and the Black Congressional Caucus feeds on this type of fear. All right, they feed on it. They spit out this bad information about police officers, and I don't know where they think it's going to get them, Steve, because what happens is, as we've seen in this election, people are pro-law enforcement. They are hurting their own communities by doing things like this. And they always talk about the fact that they're worried about guns on the street, too many guns on the street. But I tell you, the Baltimore Sun and the New York Post did an article about how gun crimes aren't taken seriously, and these people never go to jail. So the more guns we get on the street, more people are going to die, and more police officers are going to become victims of this type of violence.
I heard a guest, a former justice, or a former federal prosecutor, who's now a professor of law somewhere, speaking on Al Sharpton's MSNBC show. We played the sound bites yesterday, an African-American gentleman who was saying that Senator Sessions, the next Attorney General, is a radical, a bigot, and how get this now, he might actually prosecute civil rights cases on behalf of white people, which in his view would be the ultimate, I guess, impeachable offense. Lock them up, throw away the key. Talk about how the Justice Department and the President and the new administration can change the tone and hopefully change, I don't know if they could change attitudes, but at least change the results where you don't have 56 dead cops next year.
Well, I think it's going to be pretty hard. This has got to come from the police departments and the inner cities where these crimes are happening. I think that the Justice Department can take a look at some of these police departments and tell them, listen, maybe there'll be more money that goes into these cities. You look at a place like Chicago, you can have 30 homicides in one weekend. Those people are living under tyranny, for Christ's sakes. I think what the Justice Department might have to do, or Mr. Trump might have to do, is maybe actually send in more law enforcement to take these cities back and to ensure that the people that live in these cities that are good, hardworking people are protected. They've been totally ignored by the last administration. Chicago's totally ignored by the governor, by the mayor there. And I think the federal government has got to step in.
Yeah, well, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see, what this Justice Department does and what this administration does. He also lamented, this guest, the fact that, justice reform, criminal justice reform would be dead. Mandatory sentences would survive, and blah, blah, blah. And I got to tell you, I have no problem with a lot of the things that are in place surviving. I think, it was the policing that was done in New York City, the broken windows policies, et cetera, that got us to these low levels of crime. And you look at New York City now, and Harry, it's disgusting what I see on the streets. Statistics aside, you can now urinate in the street, and it's not even a crime. You just get a ticket. So there's a lot of work to be done. I don't know how much of it the new administration could be responsible for. Harry, great to see you. Happy Thanksgiving, and you stay strong, my friend.
You got it. You too now.
All right, take care. Harry Houck, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I think it's just it's so disgusting. I mean, we didn't even get into the whole, how complicit the media is in this whole atmosphere and attitude that cops are evil. The second there's anything, the second there's any kind of confrontation, any kind of shooting, and the second there's 5 people on the street shouting, he was good, he didn't do it, he was just walking, minding his own business, or they start a chant, no justice, no peace, whatever. That gets them going, and they try to make it as anti-cop as possible. And they have anti-cop panels, and that's what they do. So they're in on this also. Not in on it. They're responsible as much as for the tone as anybody else. All right, folks, Jack Berkman will join us next on the killing of DNC staffer Seth Rich. And Gimme 5 that you're not going to want to miss.